I must find the perfect spoon.
Excuse me, I need a spoon.
My spoon is too big.
Spoon with me, dude!
What is going on, Spoon Gang, and welcome back to Little Spoon Snatchers. This is episode 17, Eating with Fish. I'm Logan, joined as always by Sam and Skip, and as you could have noticed, we have a special guest tonight. The Fishman's in the house.
Hey guys, how's it going?
The fish man.
He's the best. I'm not going to answer your question because it's not going good. I don't know. All right, so today, obviously, yes, we got fish. We're going to be kind of focusing today's show around wrestling, considering that tomorrow, or actually today, when this comes out, is the WWE Royal Rumble, which I was thinking earlier we probably should have done like the wrestling show around Mania, but personally, I think I like the Royal Rumble better.
I was just about to say, Royal Rumble might be one of the best pay-per-views of all time.
I think it's amazing because like you get all these surprises and then stories that are built within the Royal Rumble, and like it's a great time. I love that they have two now, like one for the women's and then one for the like dudes. I love it.
I do enjoy it.
I've found in my experience that even people who don't like wrestling, they're easily loving the Royal Rumble.
No.
Even over ladder matches and cage matches.
Oh yeah, 100%.
The one pay-per-view that I liked way more, it was my top favorite, was the Elimination Chamber. I thought that was the coolest thing of all time. But then they took that away.
No, they just ruined it. Like now it's like red.
Oh, they still do it?
They still do it, but like the cage itself is like red for Raw and blue for SmackDown.
Is it really?
And they instead of like the what would that be, like a grate on the outside?
Yeah.
They have like a padding out there now.
Oh, yeah, because that was like the whole cool thing, is just like the cage on like, everywhere, and everyone was in like, I even had like the figure, like the cage for my wrestling figures. Oh, that was always cool. But the Royal Rumble is just, it's a cool little match just by itself.
I like you guys said, I think it is the best pay-per-view. I think the only one that can kind of compete with it was Money in the Bank in my eyes.
Yeah.
But I still would put Royal Rumble above it just because when they ruined Money in the Bank during COVID when they had to like Connecticut they had to like race the top of that.
Yeah.
That was bad.
That was not good.
But
They did, I don't know if you saw that, Logan, they had the briefcase hanging on the roof of like WWE headquarters. Yeah. And they started on the bottom floor, and all the wrestlers just had to try and get to the roof, climb the ladder, and pull down the briefcase.
That's hilarious.
Wasn't it Rey Mysterio that got murdered?
yeah, he got thrown off
the roof.
He got thrown off the roof. He was killed.
Hey, but he's still here today. He's wrestling.
There was, okay, I will say it was bad, but there were some gems.
It was like it was
You
more
can do a
like-
lot of things with that.
Yeah, it was more funny than it was like.
Yeah.
Like just grabbing a stapler and hitting something.
Didn't they like walk in on Mr. McMahon doing something or whatever? Like
Doing something.
yeah. No, yeah, it's like a good like creative like outbreak away from like wrestling, but
But, okay, so a lot of wrestling to talk about. Before we get into that, how was your guys' week? Logan, we'll go this way.
My week is pretty boring, probably in your guys' eyes. It's long. The days are long. So tax season's just starting, so I got a long road ahead. But nothing really exciting.
is this week 2 of tax season then?
Yeah, next week is when it jumps up to 12 hours
Oof.
a day.
So, I get like it's 3 or 4 months, whatever it is, that
3.5.
that you just work nonstop. Is it like, even within tax season though, I would assume like the end is when everybody's kind of like racing to get it done. So like, is it, so it's only going to get worse from here?
Well, taxes, this is riveting stuff to talk about. Taxes.
I'm just wondering.
But yeah, there's like mini busy seasons in the busy season. So like these first 2 weeks haven't done much, and it will ramp up. But I specifically do gifting, estates, and trusts. Like I said, this is great content. What typically we have so much that we just put everything on extension. So in the summer, I'm going to be super busy too. finishing all of those because you can extend all your taxes and then they're due in October. So it's when you do that, you kind of like limit what you have now, and you still have to. But once April I guess 18th this year hits, I'm not gonna have to work 10-hour, 12-hour days anymore. It's gonna go back to like the 8 or whatnot, but still be steady, which will be nice. But I mean, I haven't really gotten to like the crazy thick of it yet, to where it's like.
So one more question about taxes. After tax season, I know you said like you don't do a whole lot during that break, but like what even do you do if no one's doing taxes?
Well, like I said, if we extend them, then we're still. Because we have a company that's like 5 generations deep. That like it was like a guy, and he made trusts for all of his kids, their grandkids. Like it just goes so there's like this one person, or like this one entity, basically it's a business, has like hundreds of different trusts, and we have to do all the stuff for it. Obviously, we're not going to be able to get all that done, so we extend it to October, and we still do that. And a lot of it's also planning. So for that big thing, we've been planning, and like they've been giving us their numbers periodically, so that way when the time comes to do it, it's not just like we've been prepared, and it's a little bit easier. But at that point, it's also like advising people, because I do like when people give gifts.
Okay.
When they gift things to other people, like there's tax things you have to do with that.
So you could do taxes for like Mr. Beast.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Well, he's given way more than you can.
Oh, there's a limit?
There's a limit until you get taxed. So you can gift a certain amount, and you won't be taxed at all. And then once you get past that, every dollar then after that gets taxed. So it's like advising people, because it's the highest it's ever been now. So that's why you want to start gifting now, because it's going to lower eventually.
Gotcha.
So, but yeah, hey, enough about taxes.
Hey,
that could have been 3 minutes, and that was 2.5 minutes too long.
I don't love taxes, but
Hey, it's good to hear about your week.
Yeah.
Get a little bit of insight about what you do.
Sam, how's your week?
My week's been great. I had classes, and then I had work, obviously, lifted. The one thing that I would say that was really cool that I did this week is I kind of like been updating my resume, making it kind of work, and then not work, but like get better and look more professional. But I also hit up a lot of different promoters for wrestling, so I'm going to be on the move this summer, trying to at least. Like we got one down in North Carolina in June and July that I'm bringing you with, so that's cool. Yeah, just rolling with the punches. I will say this: on Tuesday I hit leg day, and I'm feeling it to this day right now. My hammies hurt. It's a rough one.
It's a problem.
Yeah,
Leg day's not fun. Fish. Other than Monday, because we'll get to that in a second. But what's your week been like?
Pretty chill. Work, homework, class. Pretty much the same as Sam, with less working out, obviously. But besides that, me and my girlfriend went out to Dave & Buster's the other night. That was pretty sweet.
Dave & Buster's always a good time.
it's so much fun. I went there for the first time a couple weeks ago with Megan and Eric and Lainey. And it was a lot of fun.
Did you see that Star Wars game?
Dude, I played it immediately when I first got in there, and I'm all like, whoa.
I looked like a giant little kid. I got so into it, I accidentally punched the machine really hard when I threw a lightsaber, and I thought I'd have to buy that thing for Dave & Buster's again.
Listen.
So I'm glad that didn't happen.
It is awesome. I was kind of mad at myself, though, so I only played it once. And I didn't know you could throw your lightsaber. And Eric played it right after me, and I'm like, I would have won this game.
I had the double lightsabers.
Oh.
So I was going like this and taking out 2 stormtroopers at a time. The thing was awesome.
It is super cool. Like, VR is really fun.
I'm not even a big Star Wars fan, but I want to try that.
It is a lot of fun. Have you ever been to Dave & Buster's?
I have, but I've never seen the Star Wars thing.
It must be new.
Yeah,
It has to be.
Listen, you can't go to Dave & Buster's and not have a good time.
No,
If
yeah.
you see someone in Dave & Buster's with a frown on their face, then call the police.
I almost broke one of their crane machines, though, because I picked up a stuffed animal 3 times, and it fell through the claw.
The worst.
I was so
You know
mad.
something about crane machines?
What?
They're rigged in a way that like 1 in every 16 drops or 12 drops. Like it's, because it can go and grab, like let's say it has like 100%, like it can grab, 11 out of 12 times, let's just say, or it's 15. There's a certain set number, but the other 14, whatever, how many times, like goes like 70%, and like it like grabs it and then like doesn't grasp all the way, but it's like so. But I think games in like arcades and stuff are like that, but the ones at like there's certain machines that don't do that, and it will just be like a skill based, and I think those are the ones that like Meijer and Walmart and like Target, like you wouldn't expect it to be at those places, but I saw it on TikTok, and I've heard that like the 1 in 15 grab rate thing or something, and then I saw on TikTok that there's certain machines you should go after if you actually want to have pure skill.
I love crane machines. I want one day.
So I'm going to Walmart, is what I'm hearing, and I'm just gonna go play the crane machine all day.
I don't know if ours has it, but actually they do.
There
They
is
do.
in the Meijer and the Walmart.
Yeah. Oh, the Meijer too.
Yeah.
Oh,
I know Walmart has them.
yeah, right. When you walk in, and they have that whole little toy section.
Yeah, they do. Oh boy, I'm pumped.
And then, really exciting what happened in my week. I got my W-2 today, so my taxes.
Oh boy, that's
Taxes are great.
Yeah, I keep getting so many things because I worked at my school before I graduated. I had a summer internship, and then when that internship, I had another job, and then I started this job. So I have all these like W-2s coming in the mail.
Yeah.
Not fun.
Ridiculous.
I mean, you can figure it out though. You're pretty
You're
smart with taxes, I'd say.
Yeah.
I'd say.
My week, again, not a whole lot other than Monday. Big, and this will get us into what we're really here to talk about. I went to, for the first time in years, and I mean years, I went to a WWE show, and I went to Monday Night Raw down in the Huntington Center with Fishman,
Yep.
and it was quite a treat.
Yeah.
Is it like how it used to be? Cause I've been to like a SmackDown or two and a Raw, and they when I was a kid, I mean they were great, but you know, being an adult, is it the same?
Okay, I'll say this.
Or the WWE's changed, I'm sure.
I don't want to say negative things about anybody, but I was telling him when we were leaving, like the difference in some people versus other people is astounding.
Like wrestlers?
Like maybe like it's because like now like, you know, I am like, I think this might be the first WWE show I've been, no, that's not, but this is one of the first that I've been to as an actual wrestler. So like knowing more and like looking for different things. And again, first off, I want to say everybody in the ring, everybody at the shows are 1,000 times better than me. So I'm not like don't throw stones if you've got a glass house, whatever. But like the difference in talent between just, I'm not going to name names, but one person and another person or different people is so crazy to me. Like how is that person on the same, like in the same ring or in the same company as this person? It just didn't make sense, but.
Yeah.
It's, well, when we were kids, it was the ruthless aggression era.
Yeah.
And that was all the fallout from when WWE conquered the mountain and beat WCW and ECW. So you had all this influx of talent that there were so many people, like our good friend Rhino.
Yeah,
He was a mid-carder coming from being top guy in ECW, and he was mid-carder with the main event talent, but there was just not enough room.
Oh, yeah.
There were so many guys, even lower card, who could have been upper card today. Like Dean Malenko.
Yeah.
He did nothing in WWE, right? If he was on the roster today, he'd be NXT champion. You know what I mean? Yeah. But because you guys are out there looking for jobs someday, and you can't really say much, and I'm out of the business myself, I'm going to be the critical one here. Steve Austin said it best. The show now lacks a certain sense of urgency. It used to be like you were sitting in the crowd or you were watching on TV. You couldn't miss an episode of SmackDown or Raw. You couldn't because you didn't know if Steve Austin was going to steal a truck and drive through the arena, or you didn't know if the big boss man was going to try to murder somebody. Like, you just did not know. But now it's just like, all right, we're cycling through the motions. The opening segment was Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley weighing in for their title fight, right? Have you ever seen a contract signing or anything like that not end in violence on WWE television?
No, not once.
It was completely civil. We sat there in this arena for 20 minutes and watched Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley throw little jabs verbally at each other.
Really? They didn't do like.
Didn't fight at all.
Didn't
And
flip
Lesnar
the
walked
table,
out.
didn't-
Nope.
Nothing.
Stood on the scale.
And-
Brock Lesnar had his cowboy hat on. Pretty sweet.
And then you know what we did? We watched a couple matches. The Kevin Owens and Priest match was very good.
Yes.
Because I haven't watched much product in years. I kept calling the Priest guy Chris Angel because that's what he looks like to me. But then we watched the main tag team feud on Monday Night Raw, and it was so enthralling to watch 4 professional wrestlers compete in a spelling bee.
It was a spelling bee.
It was a spelling bee
Wow.
with no violence. Like, we were literally just watching wrestlers prove they can spell. Like, who sits there and thinks that people want to watch this stuff? We want the Jerry Springer. We want urgency.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
It did lead to a good match. Orton's great.
It did, but man, did I really have to know if Randy Orton can spell?
Dumbbell.
Yeah.
Dumbbell. That was his word.
Like, did I have to know that?
Yeah. Matt Riddle was pretty funny though. I like Matt Riddle. He was in spelling bee.
Yeah, he's good.
It's just
I think the biggest
Odd.
thing, like you said, with the product now, like I mean, they're all super talented and light levels above
Oh,
anything
yeah.
that we can produce in the ring. But I think, like you said, it's a lack of urgency. Like they like as a fan, like when I was growing up watching, like I, like you said, had to watch every single week, every single episode, so I kept up with everything. And like now, I feel like I could just watch social media, like you say, or like I can
Yeah.
just pick up like on little things like that instead of actually having to tune into the product.
And if anything, maybe not now, but maybe a couple years ago, as far as in-ring talent is concerned, like moves and everything, they've had more talent than they've ever had.
Oh yeah.
Like over 10 years ago, easily better.
Mm-hmm.
However, it's about the stories. If people want to watch fighting, they watch UFC.
That's a good point.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, so that's interesting. Like because you guys are all wrestlers, and now it's like when you watch WWE, you guys are like, you guys know all of like the moves and like how difficult those specific moves are to like pull off.
Mhm.
Like if I watch WWE again after all these years, like it's still gonna blow my mind, and you know I'm like, wow, he actually looks like he's getting hurt. Like, and you guys know all those little nuances. You like you can sometimes even see like them like giving like the cues in the ring of like what to do next, like that I will never see, and you guys just know it. So like even that has to be like a little bit different now that you guys have like all trained and you know everything. So like it's like sort of like a practice study for you guys almost even,
Yeah.
and you just see it in a different way than most other even wrestling fans. Like you guys are obviously fans, but like people who are diehard wrestling fans even see those matches, and you guys could appreciate it even more and be more critical. So that's a different like interesting like evolution of like watching, enjoying, and like still growing up and being like, yeah, they're wrestling, but like I love to wrestle too, and like I know what they're doing, so you're still appreciating it. It's just a cool little evolution, I think.
That's honestly why I haven't watched in years. Because, and so the people do know, I'm not going to say I retired, because it's not like I had this great career, but I quit. I wrestled
Yeah.
for 5 or 6 years, and
It
I'm
was
done.
a great career.
A great career.
I mean, you were only 0-3.
I lost to Sam Beal like 17 times. What does that show anybody? But like you just watch it, and it became like I'd work 2 shows on the weekend, and then Monday night, what am I going to do? Watch work.
Yeah.
Like my current job, I'm not going to go home and watch a show about forklift batteries. Like I'm not going to do it. And you see even little things now. I'm sure all 3 of us can agree. Doesn't it take away from the magic for you when you see tiny, eensy-weensy little missteps?
Oh yeah.
Like when they go for an Irish whip and the person gives them their hand.
So it's crazy that you say magic, because a lot of when I think of wrestling, I think about it a lot like a magic show. Because at this point, like in today's world, everybody knows that it is like scripted.
What?
Oh, sorry, but like and it's the same with magic. Like everybody knows that magic isn't real. Like nobody's actually magic. But when you go to a magic show, you suspend that disbelief, and then even like the goal of the magician is to make you be like, wait, is this dude like actually magic? How did he pull that off? Like there's no way
Right.
he could do that without actually being magic. And it's similar in wrestling where like the goal of the wrestler is to convince a room full of people that know that what they're doing is not real, that wait, do these people actually hate each other? Are they actually fighting? And like suspend that disbelief there. But in Magic, if you're doing a card trick and you see the person, slip the card out of their pocket, slip the card out of the deck and put it in their pocket, and you like, oh, well, that's how the trick's done. It ruins the trick for you, and it's the same with wrestling, like you said. Like when you see them give them the hand, or when you see just anything really.
I when I first became like a wrestler, I was always told like, oh, you're gonna like fall out of love with watching it, and like you're not gonna watch the product and I thought they were crazy. I was like, oh, no way, I love it. I actually can honestly say that I haven't watched. I think I've watched one wrestling or like one episode of SmackDown or Raw in the last 2 to 3 years, like one time.
Well, the same with you, I'm sure. Like every wrestling, all the wrestling that I watch now is like, for me, I'll watch like a Bray Wyatt match or something that fits with my character to learn.
Yeah.
It's all study now.
Yeah, that's 100% true. Like I'll go back on YouTube and I'll watch like a Val Venus match, like or like a Psycho Sid, or stuff that I didn't get to watch as like a young kid because I like wasn't like too fond of wrestling as like a real young kid, but so I'll go back now and I can pick up little nuances that would fit with me and who I am as a wrestler too. So
I found more that when I was studying, I would watch matches with, and as you two would know, you guys would know, I ripped off a lot of things from like Bubba Ray Dudley and Kane and whatnot. But as a wrestler trying to learn the business side of things, I was watching more documentaries. I was watching more promos. It was more like taking a class whenever I was watching stuff instead of just trying to enjoy a product.
yeah, I 100% agree with that. I think documentaries are amazing, especially when they talk about their career and everything. I mean, really in any aspect, not just wrestling. But yeah, like it helps you kind of realize their journey and what they did to get to where they're at, and like how can you kind of not overlap their journey, but pick up on little skills and traits that they did and acquire them.
Stand on the shoulders of giants.
Yeah.
Just get where you got to be.
So, from finishing off on the inside the business, outside, I mean, I'm still a fan. Like, I still grew up a fan. I think we were all big wrestling fans growing up. So what would you, let's just go around. Like, what was your first wrestling moment? And then what was like, I don't know, just talk about wrestling. Logan, what's your first memory of wrestling and what do you...
Oh my gosh. I was actually about to ask you guys a question too. But my first memory of wrestling. Well, I mean, I have some that come to mind, but like I know my love of wrestling came way before that.
So what's your favorite wrestling, like favorite thing about wrestling or about being a fan?
You know what I think it was? Is I think I was spending the night at my buddy's house, and awkwardly enough, it wasn't your house. Like, because I would stay the night at your house almost every weekend when we were kids. It was the off weekend. I wasn't spending the night at your house, and I was at my other friend's house. And it was in the summer, and it was on a Tuesday. So it was ECW. And he really wasn't like a big fan, but he was like, oh, let's just turn on ECW. And that was, I think, the first time I watched it. And it had to have been Sandman on at that time. And
I met him one time.
I have too.
Oh boy.
He was at it.
just like crazy, and like then like he's like, oh, I got a kembo stick, and just like starts beating up people, and CM Punk probably too. And I was like, oh, like what is this, like whatever. And then he's like, oh, they have it on Fridays and Mondays and Tuesdays, and yeah, and sort of from there, obviously it took a long toll. Had so many figures. We got into, had T-shirts. Went to thing. I mean, I had like my bedspread was my bed sheets were WWE stuff, and yeah, I mean, I sort of phased out of it, like you guys, unlike you guys, but I mean, it still like holds a place in my heart. I mean, going through and picking these people was like, oh man, this guy was like, oh, I want to put him on my, like, it just brought out the little kid in me. And what was the second part of your question?
Well, just like, what was your favorite like wrestling? Because you were saying like, not only your first one was seeing your buddy's house, but like, what was your, I guess what you said, like having the bedspread and all that, was your favorite thing about being a fan in wrestling?
I think my favorite thing of wrestling was probably all the stuff that we did, because it just like that sort of thing of like watching all these guys on TV. We will probably talk about it later, but we made our own like WWE with ourselves, and that was like our way of becoming them.
Yeah.
and it just like brought us all together. And even people that were like, yeah, I kind of like wrestling. Like we brought them in to like we like signed them basically, and then they started liking wrestling. We would watch the pay-per-views. We would have like the big whiteboard, like just all of that stuff that was priceless.
Oh yeah, I think so. I'll just do the same. My first memory, I'll do my favorite memory as a fan, and then I guess I'll do my favorite memory as like being in like a wrestler. So my first actual memory of wrestling was with my older brother. He loved it. He would have the Nintendo 64 Game Shark, and he'd play the games. Well, his favorite was always Stone Cold, and I always stay up to watch it with him at least a little bit, and then I had to go to bed. But my favorite was always Hulk Hogan, but he wasn't Hulk Hogan. He was
with the mask,
Mr. America.
Yeah,
He was Mr. America. He got fired and he came back, and I was like, oh, I love it. I love that it's Hulk Hogan. They never know it. It was like as a kid that was amazing to me. And then like my brother grew out of it, and like I kind of did too, but at the same time I didn't. It wasn't like I stopped watching and I stopped being like a huge Uber fan, but I still like I don't know. I still like made toy championship belts and wrestled like here or there, like out on the trampoline and stuff like that. But yeah, I grew out of it, but it wasn't until like my freshman year when like one night I came over to Kyle's house. Actually, it's your house too, but like I came over to hang out with Kyle and everybody. You were sitting there watching YouTube videos, and I was like, dude, this is awesome. And then we sat down and watched it, and it was like that was kind of when it started taking off for everything about being like a huge fan. I guess my favorite wrestling memory as a fan is definitely like you said, like creating our own thing. But not only that, like in high school, it was in high school. I would choose to go play with action figures or video games or wrestle on the trampoline instead of going out to parties and like doing stupid stuff like that. In high school, I literally chose wrestling over everything else, and I think that's amazing. And as a fan, it's I don't know,
what a loser.
Beat me to it.
Nerd.
But as a wrestler, I think my two favorite moments would probably be the one time me and you had our match, the Extreme Rules match when we beat the living crap out of each other, and then being at Bound for Glory at Impact and being in their technical Royal Rumble, being able to have a moment there out in Sam's Town in Las Vegas. That's pretty awesome. It's gonna always hold near and dear to my heart.
So my wrestling story. When I was a kid, I'm a little older than you two. I don't know about you. But so you guys mainly had Ruthless Aggression as a kid. I had Attitude Era. And then I had Ruthless. So my first experience in wrestling, my brother had a 64. And we played WCW NWO Revenge all the time. And then it became WrestleMania 2000. And then it became No Mercy. And he stayed with us only on the weekends, so when he was gone, I had all his action figures, and I bought more and more figures. And as an only child, I'd make my own little promotions and stuff in there and be like, and Kane was always the champion, because who is he going to lose to? And if you watch TV, apparently everybody. But
If you owned a
then
television.
I started watching it when I was like 5, and we only had the rabbit ears. So every Thursday night, I'd have to get on UPN and watch 50 Mr. Allen's and Lugs commercials and try to move the rabbit ears and see if I could get that static off the screen. And then for one night a week, I could stay up till 10 o'clock and I could watch the greatest show on earth, and that was SmackDown. Because when I was 5 years old, my two favorite TV shows were Power Rangers and Jerry Springer.
Good two shows.
And it was...
A mix of those.
It was precisely that. It was the greatest thing you could ever see on television every week. And I'd put a blanket on the floor, and I had like a big gorilla stuffed animal, and I'd whoop his butt for 2 hours. And I never lost.
Remember the giant Donkey Kong I had?
I beat the crap out of that thing.
Dude.
Oh, yeah, dude. Just hitting tombstones, and my parents, they just gave up. They're like, "Up, he's going for the cookie sheets again. He's gonna hit the gorilla with the cookie sheet." Like, God, he's gonna live here forever. Of course, I was 16 at the time.
When I was a kid, my chairs were just pillows.
The amount of
did you ever
pillows that I've abused over the years.
Did you ever make a pillow table where you take 2 pillows and then put a pillow on top of it?
we used
Powerbomb?
we used to use big cardboard boxes.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
those were our
yeah.
tables. They'd crumble and everything.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, it was perfect.
We ran out of boxes last week.
And then I'd have to say my favorite memories of wrestling, honestly, are those Thursday nights where I watched SmackDown. And it was from like, I want to say, I remember watching the very first episode of SmackDown because I remember the Buried Alive tag match for the main event. And I watched all the way up until I want to say like 08 every Thursday or Friday night. And that was just great for me as a kid. That was like my big night of the week. And then as an adult, because I got away from wrestling in high school, because, I wasn't like you. I was the tuba player, though, in the band, so I can't say much.
Loser.
But as I got back into it, I honestly want to say my favorite thing in my wrestling career, because it wasn't that glamorous or anything. I know I got to work all over the country and meet many friends, but honestly, just like meeting you guys and then Eli and Eric and watching you guys grow over time and working those programs with you guys in Toledo, that was the best. That stuff was great.
I would agree with you, but then you said Eli.
Yeah, you had to say Eli.
Eli's like the equivalent to a Reno.
If for those of you who don't know, a Reno is not a good thing.
Oh, Reno.
And then Eli's just as bad. Almost worse.
I definitely agree. That was fun having those runs. And then I think another cool thing was when we went down to Georgia.
What a road. Oh,
That was like our first time
Don't-
we actually like.
Don't steal my favorite wrestling moment.
You guys have gotten much better as you've gotten older.
Not much.
Like, if you were the same, I don't know if we'd still be friends, like, when I quit wrestling. Because I wanted to murder you two. I'm stuck in the back of an Impala going to the other side of the country with these two, farting up a storm. They won't stop making noises. You both needed to be on Adderall or something. It was terrible.
It was a long road trip, Fish. I was cramped in a car for my legs were hurting. I was cramped. You are some large individuals. At the time, I was not anywhere as big as I am now, and that's just this.
Oh, yeah.
I was a little twig, and I was just in the middle seat, stuck in between you two.
We were both fatter.
Yeah, we were both huge.
Yes.
Oh man, going to Waffle House at because we just couldn't sleep. Everybody else could sleep in the car except for us three.
I'm just trying to eat my food that some crackhead at Waffle House just cooked for me. And I got these two just literally bouncing off the walls in the restaurant, embarrassing me in front of the fine folks at the Waffle House at 3 in the morning.
The good establishment, the good people.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that we each drank like 12 cups of coffee.
My favorite part of that trip was just we would constantly. It was a running joke where every time one of us, I don't think you were involved in this, but you and me, one of us were in the bathroom, the other person would just walk in and record them. And just like, I still have like 8 videos of you sitting on a toilet. And he's like, can you not walk in here?
I couldn't have a bowel movement in peace. It was like, you know the movies, and it's like Due Date, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, Tommy Boy, where it's the comedy duo, and there's the straight man and the idiot guy, and they have to go across the country together. I had to play straight man to 2 idiots.
It was fun.
It was awful. You guys were 6 foot tall, 12-year-olds. I couldn't stand it.
At least we're 13 now.
All right, my first wrestling moment was, so the first thing I remember was there was I think it was like 2005, there was a SummerSlam Tag Team Battle Royal on Raw, and it was on TV, and I remember my dad, we were playing The Floor is Lava, and my dad yells for me, so I run in there real quick, and I was like, what's up? And he's like, check this out. And it was on the TV, and I'm looking, and I was like, yeah, okay, cool. And then I ran back out because Floor is Lava is, the most important thing in my life at that point.
Yeah.
And then it was like the next, almost, I think I think at this point you were already a fan, a little bit at least, because then you were talking about it later, like the next week or something. And I was like, my dad was just showing me that. And then it was basically you that kind of like, seeing you watch it after my dad had just introduced it to me was like, oh yeah, I did just see that. And then I kind of like fell into your whole thing, and then we used to just play figures every day. We used to throw them in the pool and dive in, and
Oh my gosh, that was
That was
crazy.
trip.
That's how we would like draft our team.
yeah,
That was fun.
put them under a blanket, and then have to like randomly pull ones
I
out.
remember that.
But no, they were. It was that was a lot of fun. And then in high school, missing out on parties to wrestle with Sam on the trampoline. You too. You were there for a little bit, and then you retired, and then we roped you back in. But no, it was fun, and that was probably like what you were saying, just that like period of like, because it wasn't just like us. It was like 15 people that were constantly coming over for the pay-per-views and for the like wrestling on the trampoline, and it was just a lot of fun.
So I have a question about this trampoline wrestling.
Yes.
Was it just a bunch of teenagers like test of strength on a trampoline, like actually wrestling for fun, or did you guys have storylines?
Oh, storylines.
And
for
attire.
sure.
There were some, but I will say this though. There were sometimes we'd have matches where like you like the rule was if you got hit by 2 finishers.
One finisher on a show, 2 finishers on a pay-per-view.
Yes, okay, that's what it was. But then everybody had their own submission, and that was if you could forcefully get that and then make them tap from doing it, yeah, you won.
That's how I won all my matches.
I actually got
Oh, yeah.
knocked out once by
Gav, man, the bad
He
man.
put me in the camel clutch, wasn't it? Yeah.
Was it? Or
Yeah.
no, he used to use the Hell's Gates.
I thought it was a camel clutch. I that was the only time I've ever been actually knocked out, and I'm sitting there like I woke up and I was like, "Whoa, what the heck? Where am I?"
Wild.
Yeah.
We used to have ladder matches.
Those were so fun.
Oh man.
That I remember one of our buddies, Bill, me and him had a ladder match once. And it was, the titles hanging on the basketball hoop. We'd have to set up a ladder. You have to get out of the trampoline, set up a ladder, climb it. Me and Bill had a ladder match once. That wild. Like, maybe if I were to watch it now, I'd be like, oh, that was not wild. But at the time, it was
I remember
wild.
I don't know who I was against, but I got like the ladder was on the ground and I got thrown onto the ladder.
Onto the ladder.
Like actually like picked up my back just right on the ladder, and we were like 13, 14. I don't even know how old we were.
I took
at the time, and I mean it hurt, but I thought it was so cool.
What about the steel cages?
Oh, so I had a goat as a kid. I used to have a pet goat as a kid, and we had the goat cage was an actual cage, but there was no roof on it. It was just like open, and it was probably 12 feet, not 10 feet maybe.
Yeah,
But
no,
I'd say
yeah.
probably 8.
Yeah, it
8?
wasn't that big.
Was it not?
No, it
Oh,
was.
we
like,
were smaller.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, we
that
were
is
smaller.
true.
I looked up.
It wasn't like big either, but like we fit everybody in there, and then we just went at it with steel cage.
Really, it was
match.
probably like you got a pool table sitting there. It was probably only a little bigger than that pool table.
Really, it
The
was.
most exciting part about it was like it was exciting for us to just watch other people's matches because like we didn't know it was gonna happen because they didn't know what was
Yeah.
happening.
What a time to be alive! And then there was this dude named like the Phantom and the Annihilator.
wasn't me.
Wasn't me in a mask. I swear that. Fish, you missed out on peak wrestling experience.
SWE baby.
I'm just telling you, man. I kind of wish I got to see that because I went to high school in Monroe, and we just did, not me, but we just did drugs. That's all we did in high school.
Yeah, we just played with action figures.
Yep.
Yeah, it was.
Dude, action figures and wrestling.
And we
games,
had we had our own
Theme
like
songs?
rosters. Oh yeah, like with the wrestlers.
Oh,
like,
with the figures, dude. We
had our own. We had our own rosters and like
titles, and like we played the Royal Rumble.
So
That's
good you brought this up because I was going to say I think we got to do that for our Spoon Olympic this week.
it is awesome.
basically what we would just like hold the 2 figures or however many like above like a ring, and then you would drop them like on their feet. Well, this is how we basically did most of our matches.
This was the
Some-
match.
That's the matches. The Royal Rumble was a little different.
I don't remember how we did the Royal Rumble,
the-
but like
you
our
explain the
matches
matches.
and like if we like fought against each other, you would just have your people like a foot or 2 above the ring, your play ring or whatever, and then you would drop them, and then like if anyone like landed on top of the other person,
Yeah,
That was
but like
the pin.
That was
yeah,
the
like the one wrestler was on their back and like one of them was on them, that was a pin, like, and you would have to drop maybe like 5 or 10 times
Yeah.
until because like sometimes they would just fall out of the ring, they wouldn't be touching each other, and that's just like so you would have. You would have the craziest people. Like
so
sometimes
bad.
even like because we had girls figures,
Mhm.
and like if a girl like pinned I don't know, like Triple H or something, then like she was the WWE champion on your show. Like sometimes that would happen.
Yeah,
wild.
dude, it's crazy. We would get heated because like when it would be like so we
If let's
We
say
were
Sam,
so cool.
if one of Sam's figures won the Royal Rumble and he
Which
could
it
challenge
usually
for
did.
any
Usually did.
belt, he could challenge for my world championship.
Right.
So we would have like a third party, like Logan would come in and drop him for us, and it would be like the first person for like those matches would be like you have to land on him 3 times, not in a row, but just like 3 times. And we would always like he'd drop him, and then we'd be like, "Oh, are they touching?" And like the one would be on his back, and like the one's finger would be like laying on. I'd be like, "That's a touch, like that's a pin there." And we used to like argue about it.
You don't do that stuff and just not be friends for life.
I have a question.
Yes.
What?
How old did you say you were?
Oh, this was high school.
Yeah, it's
I'm
Senior year.
See, I'm trying to imagine it. I just see like 9-year-olds.
No. Here's the thing. I can tell you a reference because like we had our own show, like we had our own roster. Like they were all Skip's wrestlers, figures, and I think you accumulated a lot of mine because I just gave them to you. But then we like got back into it, whatever. But like Skip would have his show, like his roster. I would have mine, like, and then like I would take mine home, and I drove home. So I was at least 16 years old.
yeah.
Like I drove home with
had-
my figures.
Yeah.
So the coolest one is definitely the Rumble.
Yeah,
So
explain the
I-
Rumble. And I want to do this. We're going to do this for a Spoon Olympic this
So
week.
this
I'm
is
saying
what
it
we
now.
did. We had the ring set up, and it was like a decent.
how we did
Yeah, it was like a decent away from us, almost like where the camera is to where we are. And we would do a number app, and like we would say, all right, this guy is this number or whatever. Like we'd pick one, and like that's where they would enter. You'd sit on a couch or sit far away, and you would throw it at the ring and try to get it to stay in the ring. And like and then after like all 30 went and thrown, you would pick up the ring, and anything that fell out, because like some of them were holding on by the ropes, any of them that hung on would stay in, and then they would go back, and you just rethrow it until there was the last person left.
So it's like watching Keno, but with wrestling action
Yes.
figures.
But like sometimes they would just like they would hit the ropes and like hit the up like because they had like really stringy ropes
Yeah.
and like it would hit the ropes and then hit the other ropes and then just fly out absurdly. Sometimes like their hands are just like stuck like this.
Yeah.
So like they would just like grab onto the rope and
And
then when you
hook
lifted
on.
it up, you would just like lift them up too and like oh that counts.
My favorite was when the boots would stick to the bottom rope, and like they were like definitely hanging on. Like there's no way they are not gonna fall, and it just like barely hangs
You
on.
just unlocked a memory in my mind of how great that was.
It was. We broke a lot of figures because a lot of times there'd be one that's
yeah.
like on the side, and like I'm like, I got to get that guy out, and you just like whip it and try and knock one of the other guys out of the ring.
Man.
That was incredible time.
So it was like you had to because like let's say if it was us 3 and it's a 30-person rumble, we each have 10 entrants,
Right.
and like I'm like if I had like 2 guys left and Sam had 1 guy left and Sam's guy's barely hanging on, I'm just gonna whip my first one, get them both out, and then try and gently land the second one in. It was what a time.
WrestleMania theme song, always Imagine Dragons.
Every year, I think we did like 5 WrestleManias.
Yep, every year.
Every
Every
year.
year for the figures, it was a new like Tiptoe or On Top of the World or always, and we'd shut the lights off and flicker them up, go crazy. We'd go crazy.
We were so cool.
I mean,
we were.
the coolest, I'd say.
All right, you know what? This is enough.
You
This
still
is
have all your figures?
in my basement.
Yeah, we're gonna play.
They're
with
in the
it.
basement?
Yeah.
Why are they in the basement?
I don't got room in my room.
Yeah.
If I still played with them, I would have them in my room, but I don't.
It's quite a collection.
Oh,
I say,
man.
dude, at least 200.
Like let's reflect real quick. We played with action figures and we made Sherman Wrestling Entertainment in high school. I think we're entrepreneurs, guys.
Entrepreneurs for sure.
Yeah.
D. Sterling, Booyaka, A. Dallas,
Look at all these. We're so.
The
good.
Soldier,
Incredible.
Chris
Booyaka.
Coyle.
Do you know who Booyaka was? He wore a mask,
I feel like
a Rey Mysterio mask.
I feel like when you go to like Dollar Tree and they have the little off-brand action figures and they have the different names like it's obviously the Hulk, but it'd be like Monster Green Man. I feel like that's what it was.
So before we get into this, one last thing I want to say. My favorite, bringing up the figures, we would drive to like multiple stores a day and be like we'd go to the Toys R Us and we'd be like, oh, dude, do they have like this guy here? And we'd be like, oh, and we drive to the Walmart. We'd like look under to see if anybody's hitting it, hiding
because
any.
we had so many. Like, if you found somebody who like was so irrelevant, like not even like a really big superstar, was like, oh, we don't have him yet.
Yep.
We have to get him.
Have to get
like,
him.
I mean, because we had all the big ones, and so like at like if you got somebody like I don't even remember his name. At like Shad or JTG, I guess. Not the guy who I was thinking of, but JTG, I need him. Like, get him now. Like we would drop $20
Easy.
My favorite hunting for toys would be any of them that had a championship.
Oh, if you got a belt, you got to get them.
Oh yeah, I love those.
R-Truth.
That's who
That's
you're
what
thinking
I was thinking of.
Archer's
guy.
man.
I have horror flashbacks from my childhood about that. As I stated earlier, my favorite wrestler was Kane. I had every wrestler under the sun, WCW and WWF. But I cannot find a Kane figure to save my life. For 2 years. They had one at the local, sort of like Chuck E. Cheese establishment, but I couldn't win 50,000 tickets to get it. So it was just out of reach. So all I had to do was take one of my old Undertakers and write with red on his face. he was Kane.
Happens a lot. We'd have like 3 Cody Rhodes, and one of them was
Oh yeah.
one of them was this dude,
Fandango
one of them was
or-
Fandango, one of them was
I remember the hardest one to ever get was Jeff Hardy.
Oh yeah, we only.
I
had
found one. Do you have one now?
we have one, yeah.
Yeah,
I found one and he had a red face.
that's the one.
Yep.
There was tons of Jeff Hardy when I was a kid.
Yeah,
He
well,
was
not in high
so-
school
he
when he
was-
was out of WWE.
Dolph Ziggler was hard to
yeah,
find.
not
too.
like
Yeah.
4 years ago
Yeah, we're talking.
when we were doing this.
Because our memory is totally different here. Because you guys are thinking, like you guys are saying Cody Rhodes, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, yeah, you'd be going through it, and be like, I don't want Crash Holly,
Yeah.
I have a Crash Holly figure.
Yeah.
Let's go. All right, you guys just want to get into our cream of the crop?
Oh yeah.
Sure.
Let's do it.
All right, so no surprise, our cream of the crop is WWE wrestlers.
Big time.
It seems like we might all have different takes on these picks.
Yeah, I mean, mine are kind of just like a good mix of my favorites who are also really good.
Mine are just the top 5 best ever.
Oh, okay. I know you.
Yeah,
you
you
wanna
want
say
to
how
a
you-
very interesting route.
Well, I wanted to change it up a little bit because I was thinking that if we were just talking about the best wrestlers of all time, you'd have 4 people sitting here basically saying the same thing. We'd say Steve Austin, Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, John Cena,
Kane.
The Rock, Hulk Hogan. We'd just be saying these names somewhat similar, and we'd be saying things that people already know. Like, I might get objection here, but everybody knows the greatest wrestler ever is Stone Cold Steve Austin.
John Cena, yeah.
But I took and said, what if I picked a list of top 5 best wrestlers who, in a given role, did the absolute best they could and outperformed what they should have been able to do? And there's a little bit of parameters. To make it interesting, none of these people are in WWE anymore. None of them were ever world champion. And all of these guys were mid-card at most. Except for the honorable mentions. The honorable mentions I have, they're not on the list because they kind of broke the qualifications, but I still want to talk about these people.
Yeah.
All right, let's start.
I'll start. My number 5 going pretty solid, pretty basic, and that is The Undertaker.
It's a good pick.
I mean, yeah, mine is pretty basic, but he's one of he's probably the one that maybe wasn't, subjectively my favorite, but he was up there. I mean, I always loved him, and he was super cool, and he had a cool gimmick. But I mean, everyone knows who The Undertaker is, so I mean, he's just got to be up there.
See, I will actually say this, I love The Undertaker, but him and another guy who's super popular, I just never was just I absolutely want to see him all the time. I love him. And yeah, it was cool to see him return back at WrestleMania and stuff, but I wasn't the biggest Undertaker fan. Or The Rock was the other guy I was talking about. I'm not a huge Rock guy.
I like The Rock. I like The Undertaker too. I think Undertaker's best. I think so. He went through that stretch of 4 matches. He did the Shawn Michaels, Triple H, and it was 26 or 24 or no 25, 26, 27, 28, and then after that, I think if you just got rid of everything that happened after that, I think that's where he should have retired.
I liked watching his evolution of that character over the years and how it was always on top, and his storytelling and matches even, because when I started watching as a kid, it was Ministry of Darkness Taker, where he was the satanic overlord with this army of Hot Topic employees, and he was going to take over the WWF. And then he was gone. And then Limp Bizkit starts playing and Kid Rock starts playing, and now there's just a giant biker dude who looks like The Undertaker. I'm like, oh my God. And then Kane killed him. And then he was The Undertaker again. Like, it's just all over the place. And it was so awesome how every time it worked so well.
For me, he was one of the guys that when you heard that bell and all the lights went off, he was just like he's tall. Like he's
6'7".
huge. Yeah, he's huge, and like just I don't know, like all the fog and him walking out so eerily. It was just a sight to see.
Yeah.
You know, you see all these other guys like come out with like catchy theme songs and like come out, and like his was just so different. And it's like that's just like it was just a specimen.
Yeah. I do like him. Like, I will give him credit for everything that he's done. I just have never been a huge fan of him. I would say that I am upset that I didn't get to see his entrance live. Yeah, that's one thing I wish I was able to do, because it is sweet. Like, lights go out, everybody's like, oh.
Just no matter who was in that ring with that entrance, it was a boss fight.
Yeah.
Every single time.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't matter if he was opening the show, man. If he came out.
Yeah.
All
right, so I'll go with my number 5, and that is Chris Jericho.
It's my number 5 too.
I love Chris Jericho. I mean, he with him and Kevin Owens is my just recent memory. Like when they had their run as a tag team, I think their Festival of Friends might be one of, if not the best segment to ever be aired on Raw.
Obviously, I think that when you think of an evolution of a character, you instantly go to Undertaker, like you were saying. Jericho might have the best evolution ever. He's done so many different characters. Because when I remember him the most was like in 2007 when it was supposed to be, the rock star Chris Jericho's coming back, and then he comes out in like a suit with a short haircut and he's like a bad guy.
Yeah.
That's what and then he had the light up jacket. And
I just remembered him Y2J.
That was like when
that era.
Yeah.
He really is like a fine wine. Like, he gets better with age. Like, and it's unbelievable. Like
the list.
Like you know what? You just made the list. And then what do you call Tom Phillips? Like every other name under the book instead of
Felipe.
Yeah, Felipe instead of Tom Phillips. I mean, it was just great. Like, him and Kevin Owens paired together was amazing. I will say their payoff I was a little upset about. It should have been for the Universal title, but it was what it was for the United States at WrestleMania. But no, I love Chris Jericho. He's my top, number 5.
He's number 5.
Mine too.
I used to love when he'd get on the mic and just drag Stephanie through the mud. In late Attitude Era. Comedy gold.
I mean, really though, like you were saying, with his evolution is unbelievable. Like, if you look at where he started, when he came over from WCW, and he was the big Millennium guy, and he was debuting, and they had that clock countdown, and then just he's went everywhere since then.
Yep. And he's a rock star too.
Yeah, and he can sing. Yeah.
Great pick.
So my number 5 is Val Venus. Val Venus should have never worked in the WWF. They brought in a guy whose character was an adult film star. Just like when the wrestlers had jobs and everything was lame. You had the garbage man, you had an accountant. That happened. But of course they bring in an adult film star, and you'd think this dude was just lower card all the time, but he was always having fantastic matches. I know you said you studied his film. There was always storylines, and of course every storyline of his was who'd he sleep with this week and make angry. He had the thing with Kai and Tai where on national television it looked like they cut his wiener off.
Yep, they did that.
It was every time Val Venus was on television, it was gold, and it never should have worked, but it did. the right to censor thing was kind of weird when they had him join that whole group, but just everything about what Val Venus did was fantastic, and he shouldn't have been that good with what they gave him.
Yeah, his character was like you said, like kind of like, well, why would they do that? And then
Right.
now he's in there. Yeah, he's amazing. I stole one of his moves. I call it that too. When I like, oh, I'm gonna hit this here. Like I say, oh, Val Venus knees. Yeah.
I just remember the money shot.
Yeah.
That was the finishing move. I didn't name it. The finishing move, not the finish. All right.
My number 5.
Boy.
Actually, no, my number 5 is Chris Jericho, so my number 4 will go this way. Snake it. My number 4 is another person that I think he wrestles today, and I think is fine wine, just gets better with age, and that's Randy Orton.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy because like I didn't like him as much as a kid, but like watching him now, just seeing how he's just gotten so much better. And it's the same with Chris Jericho, because like when I was a kid, obviously like I liked the good guys, didn't like the bad guys, but now guys like Jericho and Orton and someone on my honorable mentions and JBL, like those guys, I remember just hating as a kid.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, but then now I'm looking back, I'm like, dude, they were like so good. Like they made, like if it wasn't for them, there would be no show. Like so, and Orton is just so funny, so just he could do whatever he wants, and he just gets away with it.
Dude, yeah. Funny thing about Randy Orton, do you remember a ref named Jake Clemens from AIW? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Never worked there.
Oh, he's from the Cleveland area. Well, he got signed to WWE, and like he came down to Impact one time, and I got to talk to him, and he like told me, he said it is incredible to watch Randy Orton in the ring, like being up close like he was. He said every single thing that he does in the ring means something, whether it be like moving his hand this way or taking one step. It doesn't matter. Everything he does has a purpose, and it means something.
And he makes it look so easy.
Yep. So good. He's amazing.
One thing I didn't even know about him until Monday night. Dude can spell. Dude
Got
can
brains.
spell, man.
The full package. Yeah,
Good pick.
I like the poker face. I kept looking that way.
Number 4, and I guarantee not one of you or anybody watching this would ever think that this name would come up. Jamie Noble. If you were to watch Cruiserweight Championship SmackDown, Ruthless Aggression era, every single week, Jamie Noble, if they didn't have Rey Mysterio or Tajiri, and everybody talks about Rey Mysterio and Tajiri, Jamie Noble was out there putting on fire matches. The J&J security angle later was amazing. I was kind of mad that they didn't put him in matches because Jamie Noble is such a good wrestler. And on top of that, his storylines, which is what they were called for at the time, and that was the entertainment industry, the stuff with his trailer trash girlfriend, Nydia, and his whole character was just, he was basically Trailer Park Boys holding the Cruiserweight Championship. It was amazing. I never saw much of a bad Jamie Noble match, and if people, like friends of you guys or anybody who are watching who are wrestlers and want to study film and want to steal stuff that not everybody else is stealing, find old episodes of SmackDown and watch Jamie Noble matches. Because fantastic.
Yeah. I remember him most from J&J Security, and I loved it. He played a good part in there, like with Joey Mercury.
I was trying to remember who the other guy was. Yeah, it was. I like Jamie Noble.
Yeah.
Just type in like Jamie Noble and Nydia on YouTube,
Yep.
and you will not believe your eyes at the stuff they were putting on TV with this guy.
I'm excited to watch it now.
Sam 4.
So for number 4, it's a guy that I kind of like molded early on, especially, but I kind of molded my wrestling in the ring off of, and that's Kevin Owens. I absolutely love Kevin Owens. Because when I started wrestling, I was obviously fat, like huge fat, and I like was built like similar to Kevin Owens. So I kind of like that's when I was like, oh, he does all these cool like acrobatic things, and he's a bigger guy. Like I can do that, and that's when I would study him and like the way he talked, the way he walked, everything he did. I just absolutely adored, and I think to this day he can literally do whatever he wants in the ring and outside. Like he can just do whatever he wants. That's how good he is.
A lot like Randy Orton.
Yeah, he's a lot like Randy Orton. Like of today, I mean, I guess Randy Orton's still around, but like, yeah, like the generation of past him. No, yeah, Kevin Owens amazing. I love him. He's great.
It's a great pick.
Everything I've seen from him is fantastic.
Oh, it's all when he had those matches with Sami Zayn. Oh, yeah. Never mind. Cena.
That
The three
stretch.
back-to-back, that stretch when he was NXT champion and it was all for the United States. That was incredible. Like it was amazing. And then, like I said, with Sami Zayn, like they have such a chemistry. They literally threw it together last year to be part of WrestleMania just because they know they're going to put on a great match. I think the last couple WrestleManias, match of the night has been the Kevin Owens match. Like it was Sami Zayn, then it was the Seth Rollins match during COVID. So good. It was so good. And I just absolutely love Kevin Owens.
Logan, were you around at all during any Kevin Owens?
Don't even know who he is.
He's actually.
He's
Me
not
and Travis noticed the other night. He is looking good.
Is he?
slim.
Is he
Good.
really?
Yeah.
That's
But
awesome.
If you ever saw the guy with the beard and basketball shorts, kind of chubby.
Nope.
It's it's kind of crazy to me that like I know like you alarm 9 o'clock. It's kind of crazy to me that like he can do that. Like he can wear like the cut off and the gym shorts, but it just works. Like
Doesn't look like a wrestler.
but he just works, and he's so good with whatever. I love him. He's so amazing. KO baby.
I gotta bring up one thing. I hated that Kevin Owens went to WWE and was wearing that stuff. Not him specifically for it, but how many times were you at wrestling school and there was a chubby kid who was like, "Well, I'm gonna wear basketball shorts and a cutoff when I start getting bookings because Kevin Owens does." How many times do you hear that?
Yeah.
It ruined a lot of youth, but it wasn't his fault.
Yeah. Love Kevin Owens.
My number 4 is Triple H.
Honorable mention.
So good.
Is just like a classic. He was really kind of like he just kind of had like that I'm the boss just vibe all the time.
Now he is the boss.
Yeah. I mean I know like Cena was definitely the face of WWE all when we were kids, but I mean he was just kind of like he just kind of had that power too. It's like he's just looks. I mean he's so massive. I mean.
He's very.
And I liked his ring entrance too. Just
He said,
like dude, like I'm just like picturing me as a kid like looking at him come down the ring, and he was just so muscular.
So
It's ridiculous.
it's crazy because like you talk about like Cena and that like obviously Cena made that spinning WWE title and like that's like his WWE championship.
Yeah.
But I think it looks so like I like Triple H with that belt. I think that looks so good. Like whenever I think of that belt, I think of Triple H holding it.
I think of somebody else, but
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. Like Triple H just has like an aura around him. It seems like he's just the man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he just like gives off those like I'm so good vibes.
Yeah.
Kind of. I don't know how else to explain it. The long hair, like his whole look was really cool. And I liked it. I mean, well, his thing was the king.
King of Kings.
Cerebral assassin.
Listen, he ran stuff for years. Like Ruthless Aggression era Raw.
That was him.
God, it was just Triple H, and it was good television.
Oh yeah.
It was great.
When I first like early memories I have of wrestling were the him and Shawn Michaels. Like a lot of people hate that like the new DX like when they brought it back in like 2006 2007, but that's as a kid at the time like that's really what kind of drew me in. Like that was hilarious
Yeah,
to me.
he's funny. Like
Oh yeah.
and he would just like both of those two were like perfect together.
Oh, yeah.
But like they were both hilarious, and he was like hilarious, like Stone Cold, like not like Stone Cold Steve Austin, but just like not like a like goofy, kind of how Shawn Michaels was. He was just more like he'll give it back to you. Like he's like really witty on like comebacks, and he's like, yeah, well, you smell like poop. Kind of like he doesn't.
But funny.
Yeah, like
Stan.
Not that yours
I
wasn't
just
funny.
kicked Stan.
yeah,
One of the best segments ever.
he was great.
Great pick. Number 3.
Number 3 is Mick Foley.
Oh, I forgot Mick. That should probably be on my list.
I mean, just all 3 of his personas were great. And talking about documentaries, he did that documentary. I don't even think The Dark Side of the Ring or something like that.
Beyond or dark. You are no, it's dark.
Yeah, it is.
Dark side.
Dark Side.
Yeah, and I listened to him on Pardon My Take. They had him on, and he I mean, he's just I don't know, he just has like a cool little. That's a. Go ahead.
You're talking about Beyond the Mat,
Yeah.
that old movie.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, but I like Mick Foley.
I think it's sweet that he was able to pull off 3 incredible different characters. Like, they were all good. Well, I guess no, it was 3, right? No, Mankind, Dude Love, Cactus Jack, and then Mick Foley.
And just Mick Foley as himself.
Oh, yeah, so 4.
Well, that was really though the Mick Foley character was that I have multiple characters.
Yeah. And it's amazing. Like, that was awesome to see. And, yeah, he made a finished move out of a sock. I'm like, that is incredible.
Easy to root for.
How mad would you be if you fell into barbed wire for 10 years and then found out your most over thing would be a sock? I'd be so angry.
It's like all I had to do. You spend 10 years landing on concrete and barbed wire, got his ear ripped off. All I had to do was put a sock on my hand all this time.
I was going to bring up Foley in my honorable mentions because obviously he falls outside of the parameters of the rules I set for myself because everybody knows how great Mick Foley was. But the one thing from a business side of things that I saw that was so amazing with Mick Foley's career, a wrestler who you know is going to lose the big match, but you still want to watch, you're still entertained. How many guys did WWE take and say, we need to make this guy the main event star, and we need to make him look strong, we need to make him look like a killer. Put him in the ring with Mick Foley, and Mick Foley is going to make him look like an absolute killer. Yeah. We're going to have Undertaker throw him off the cell. We're going to have Triple H beat the hell out of him, heck out of him, in a cell.
That's fine.
We're going to have Triple H do all these things to him on thumbtacks. The Randy Orton match at Backlash.
Whoa, no, that made me click.
Edge.
Edge at Mania.
Oh my
How
god.
many people needed to become a killer, and then Mick Foley did that for them. Foley even helped, even though people already did it with Austin, Foley did it with Rock. With that brutal I Quit match, which WWE has blurred half of it because it was so awful. He took like 13 chair shots to the head.
Yeah.
Even when he was Dude Love, when he wasn't as violent, he was still feuding with Austin and making Austin look like a star. Just everybody Mick Foley ever worked with, even though most of the time, 99% of the time he lost, he made them look like an absolute killer.
Yeah. He's the one guy on my list, even through honorable mentions, that I never watched. Like, he was before my time. And, like, he's probably up there for people I wish I would have watched. Like, I wish I got into it earlier enough to, like, I wish that I saw more of him to where, like, I didn't have to go on YouTube and look up his matches.
Also, not to mention, one thing none of us covered, the dude's hilarious.
Oh yeah, he's such a genuine dude too.
That's
like, with a lot of his books and everything, like in his interviews. Like
the
you said.
interview, it got me liking him. Like, I mean, I knew I liked him, and he's just like, he's so down to earth, and I mean, he cracks some jokes, and he's talking about the documentary, and he's like not afraid to talk about like the dark sides of the industry, which is that's all about, and very class act guy.
The one thing you guys probably don't remember that they had with him that was so cool was this was back in his Mankind run, where all the wrestlers obviously hang out in the locker room and in the hallway. So whenever they have those interviews, they're in the hall and whatnot. But Mankind, every show would find the boiler room in the arena, and he lived in the boiler room. And he'd open the door and be like, "Welcome to my humble abode." And he'd come out like some goblin or something. Just everything was amazing.
Yeah, good one.
Mick Mick Foley.
Good pick. Good pick.
Sam, you're at 3.
Yeah, I think. Actually, no, I know my number 3.
Okay.
And it's John Cena.
Yep.
I love John Cena. I mean, everything he's done from his entire career, like Basic Thugonomics, into the Ruthless Aggression, into the everything he's done is just awesome. Like the spinner belt, like changing it from the United States to the spinner belt, then the WWE spinner belt, and like just everything he does is incredible. I mean, he's going over to movies and he's amazing as an actor now too. Like I don't know. I love John Cena, and like watching him back when he did the United States Open Challenge every single week, and you're waiting to see who he was going to face or who he was going to lose to. Like, when is he finally going to lose? Like, it was just awesome.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy because it was John Cena with the Open Challenge. For a stretch, the United States Championship was more important than the WWE Championship.
Oh, without a doubt. Like, and I still think about it back until when he lost it to Seth Rollins.
Yeah, SummerSlam.
At SummerSlam of that year.
John Stewart, baby.
Yeah, when he
I forgot about that.
I hated to see it end because I loved the run that he was doing, like giving guys like Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn and like all of these guys just a chance to like showcase what they can do, because each time that Open Challenge happened, one, as a fan, you were super excited to see who it was, but two, it was a main event feel.
Yeah, I never liked the U.S. title. Like I like that's always been my least favorite of the belts, but like that completely turned me around on it. Now I love the U.S. title just because of what John Cena did there.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Ever since they took it from WCW, except for that one John Cena run, nobody ever cared about it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was always an Intercontinental guy.
Yeah, that's my favorite.
Yeah.
I love the United States. That's my favorite belt. And it was that's why it was also great to watch that run by John Cena.
Mm.
And I mean, like, and then you'd look over to like the past couple years when he had the AJ Styles rivalry with like feud or whatever you want to call it. Like, that was awesome. Like, he just elevates everybody, and like, and it's so simple, like what he has to do, and it just makes everybody else so good. And like, he's incredible. I love him.
3 fish.
All right. Warning. I may get hate for this. It may cause controversy. But the number 3 person on my list is Tori Wilson.
I love it.
Let me explain.
Yep.
Wrestling is more than in-ring work. Wrestling is more than moves. When the brand split happened, Raw had all the good women wrestlers. They had the Victorias, they had the Trish Stratuses,
Lita.
they had the Molly Hollies, Lita. They had all of them, right?
Mickey James.
Before that.
Oh, before that.
Even
Yeah.
before Mickey James.
But yeah, Mickey James. So SmackDown had nothing. All they had was valets and then some girls who kind of wrestled. Like, nobody was a real worker on that show. They had like Jillian Michaels and
Jillian
what was
Hall.
her name? Shaquisha or
Kelly.
Sharp. It started with an H. It was the lady who was the dominatrix lady for the Passion Brothers.
Oh, yeah, I forget.
Maybe it was a Shaniqua. But they had just basically valets, whoever that girl was with Deuce and Domino, all this stuff. And then SmackDown was
Cherry.
broken up into segments. It was opening sequence, cruiserweight, mid-card, which their mid-card was on fire at the time with the SmackDown 6, tag team titles, and whoever the world title picture was. But literally a quarter of that show every week was, look how hot Tori Wilson is. And she played that role fantastic. Every week, Tori Wilson was probably one of the highest rated people on the show because Tori Wilson was an entire women's division by herself. And every week they had her in different storylines. Oh, she's dating Tajiri. Oh, Dawn Marie is sleeping with her dad. It was just, yeah, it was weird times. But she drew a lot of ratings, man.
Yeah.
And like I said, controversial. And I'm not going to lie, a lot of people enjoyed it back in the day. Ooh, Tori Wilson's in a bikini. Ooh, mud wrestling with Tori Wilson.
Braun panty
But
matches.
it brought a lot of people to the TV screens simply because it was Tori Wilson. A lot of people have done that and taken a lot of pile drivers. She didn't have to take any.
Yeah.
Can't
Good
disagree.
pick.
Tori Wilson, great pick.
Man, she came back a couple years ago. Still got it.
She had a new dog though.
Still,
That was my favorite part. She came out with a dog every
Yeah.
week. She had a new dog when she came back. Her dog must have died.
still
Made me
got-
sad.
Aw.
Yeah, I don't want to think about that. My next pick, the most recent on my list, and that is Kofi Kingston.
Kofi.
That high.
Technically, he's on my honorable mention.
Oh, okay. I think Kofi's. I mean, I've loved Kofi. Like, because I remember his ECW debut, and I remember when he first started on ECW,
Yeah.
and I remember everything that he's done, and like, just the fact that he's been around so long and always kind of been a relevant factor. And then, I mean, the New Day, obviously. If we could do tag teams, I'd probably put the New Day here.
Oh,
But
yeah.
like, the New Day ran Raw for like a year. Like they
ran like the entire WWE.
They ran yeah, you're right. They ran WWE for a year. Like they were, like, because everyone says like, oh, John Cena was the face of the company. New Day for that year were by far the
Yeah.
face of the company. Like they were the top. Like everything revolved around that.
That's why they never got split up, and they still kind of technically aren't split up. Is because
Yeah.
they were so marketable and they like are so good together.
And they're even though they're on different shows and Big E's doing his.
Yeah.
He just had won the WWE title, which I'm wearing my Big E shirt. This was a pre New Day Big E shirt, but he won his WWE title, and then Kofi and Xavier still do their thing. But like even now, they still come together and do stuff. Like they're
They're just inseparable. That's why to me, like I put them as my honorable mention in New Day, and just put them as a tag team because when I think of them, like I think of they all do bring something special to the table. But together as a group, there's nothing better. Like
They're great.
Like when they throw out pancakes, dude.
same with Jericho, where he just got like a potted plant and a list over.
Yeah.
New Day was able to get
A trombone.
guys. We have a New Day cereal box sitting back there.
Dude, they were amazing. They were incredible. Like it's like, what did Big E say every time he came out? Like, oh, wherever they're from, like,
Feel the power.
oh,
Yeah. Right.
That's incredible. I love the New Day.
And I think at one point they might have started outselling Cena at the merch table.
Yeah, I think they definitely.
I'm
probably
sure.
did.
Like they were the number one sellers in WWE at one point.
That's why. That's what I'm telling you. They didn't break them up. There was a point because me and Skip always made predictions. Like every year we'd do like these big predictions at the end of WrestleMania. Every year, I think I would always put the New Day's gonna break up, but they just never did, and I always lost that one.
Kofi was the only wrestler I've ever met.
Only wrestler you ever met. It's a guy to meet. I mean, what a
It was like when he was like, I don't know if he's still like the Jamaican guy, if he still plays that.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that was when he was like the boom, boom, boom.
even then though, dude. I love the Jamaican. I love
Oh
the-
yeah,
love
that's high.
Yeah.
I didn't know you liked him that much.
I love Kofi. Plus, I mean,
I love Kofi.
Kofi Mania was great.
Yeah, it was
When he won
Good
the
run.
WWE title, that run of him leading up to WWE to win that title, or to leading up to WrestleMania for him to win that title.
that was probably the last time I watched religiously. 'Cause
Yeah,
he
that
made
was-
me have to watch it.
And after Kofi won the belt, it's like, okay, well, that's all I need for
Yeah.
wrestling. Like,
Nice.
all right, my number 2 then. You already mentioned it. It's The Undertaker. He's just great. I mean, I don't want to even talk about it that long. Just his entrance, like you said, like everybody's got like these big like your entrance theme. You think it's gonna be like a big pump up song. He's literally just goes, dong, and that's all he needs. I was at WrestleMania, saw him come out to the ring. Like he's such a sweet character.
I would, yeah, like you said, specimen. It really
Specimen.
is.
I don't know if I call him sweet. I saw him try to murder a ton of people.
I've seen him
National TV.
successfully murder a ton of people. I used to be terrified. Like, and I'm talking like it gave me nightmares when he pulled that lever and buried Paul Bearer in concrete. Like, and they had Paul Bearer was in a box and they filled that box up with concrete. That terrified me as a kid. Like,
Dude.
How great was that match though with AJ Styles?
see, that match was even great. Like, I don't love the cinematic matches, but that match was so much
Amazing.
fun.
He was even worse when I was a little kid watching.
When he hung.
Yeah, Ministry of Darkness Taker.
Yeah.
He'd put people, like, you know that logo he has with the T and
Yeah.
the
The
X?
X?
Yeah, he'd crucify people on it and hang them up on top of the arena. Like, he kidnapped Stone Cold Steve Austin. He kidnapped Stephanie McMahon. He'd bring people into his group. Remember, like, Big Daddy V?
Oh yeah.
Viscera. When he was Viscera, he'd take him and strap him down on a
loved
table
him.
and pour some liquid in his mouth, and then he became all like Hot Topic employee. That was before he started crushing people with his hips.
What a guy. My favorite
It was
finisher.
just, just the occult stuff was insane.
What a guy. Well, we've already talked about it. What's your number 2?
Another one you probably didn't think you'd hear, Spike Dudley.
Love Spike Dudley.
So don't be laughing at me. Let me explain. For a couple years, the Dudleys, Devon and Bubba, came to WWE, and they were just a part of this triangle with Christian, Edge, and the Hardys. And everybody was talking about, and I could go into all day why the Dudley Boys are better than both those tag teams. But, shit good. But then came Spike, the runt of the litter. And you'd think, he's going to get pushed off to the side. He's going to be on Sunday Night Heat. He's going to be on Shotgun Saturday Night. He might win a lightweight title. But he was compelling television every time, even to the point where he was in a rivalry with Stone Cold Steve Austin. And also, every week, this dude on TV was trying to get himself killed. You ever just watch the bumps he would take?
So,
like power bombs, missing the mat. Even, I know we can't count it, but when he was in ECW...
And he got thrown into the crowd?
He was even more in ECW. I don't know how this guy did this for all these years.
The one thing that, when I think of Spike Dudley, I think of Brock Lesnar's debut.
Yeah.
That is like the only thing that I think, literally the only thing I think about with Spike Dudley, because it was a little before my time. So I think of that Brock Lesnar debut and just him getting murdered. Like literally.
Massacred.
I thought he got killed, if you watch that back.
My number 2 is the charismatic enigma, Jeff Hardy.
Yeah.
Absolutely love him. He's incredible. Like when his theme song, No More Words, like I listen to it to this day on my phone. I downloaded it. Just like his entrance, the colorfulness, like his everything he did was just amazing. Like he made you a fan when he went out to wrestle.
Yeah.
One of my favorite matches of all time to watch, and why I think of him instead of Triple H with the WWE Championship, was when he beat Edge and Triple H at Armageddon for the title. And he's incredible. I wish I could meet him soon, hopefully one day.
Probably will. He's on everyone's TikTok right now.
Is he?
Yeah, ever since he got released or quit, he's just showing up on random people's TikToks all the time.
That's amazing. What a guy. I love how he paints his face, like nowadays. Like back then it was cool, but now it's like got a theme and you can see a face on his face. It's cool.
2 fun facts about Jeff Hardy is that was I loved him growing up too, and I got a pair of my dad's work socks and cut holes in them and watched a tutorial on how to get the arm sleeves. So I would be Jeff Hardy. And also when we were on vacation, we went to a thing where you could swim with dolphins, and there's a point where you lay on your stomach, but you have a life vest on, and you lay like this and your feet are out, and 2 dolphins come and basically put their nose on your feet, and they basically push you. And in my picture I'm doing this because this is big, this is the cool thing I always
Oh yeah.
or Matt Hardy's, I think this is what his was or something like that.
Version 1.
Matitude. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
His version 1.
I would just as a kid I would just be walking around, be and so when that just happened, I was just yeah, let's go. So you can probably if we find that pull that up.
A whole generation, and it's not, you say that that's a personal story. That's a whole generation probably has the same story. They're this is what I used to do all the time.
And just that sock thing, that was just the easiest thing for me to do, and I was this is so cool. I'm Jeff Hardy.
I have to admit something to you guys. I'm going to bare my soul.
Yep.
When I was a kid, I did not like Jeff Hardy.
Well, thanks for coming on, Fish. We'll see you next time.
Let me explain. Because obviously I was a big Dudleys fan, so, he wasn't the Dudleys. But I always would watch Jeff Hardy's matches, and I'd be even as a kid, I'm this dude finds the most dumbest ways to lose matches. He'll be on top of the ladder with the belt hanging there. He's you know what? I'm about to jump 30 feet that way instead of win this match right now.
When you put it that way, yeah.
He's alone in the ring with a ladder. The belt's right there. Everybody else is dying on the outside.
Championship, Swanton Bomb. Championship, Swanton Bomb.
I think I'm going to carry this ladder 20 feet that way out of the ring and jump on that dude who's laying on that table. You go get them belts, Matt. You don't need me.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't disagree with that. The other thing that I really like about Jeff, I watched his documentary, and it was a good, it was fun to watch and see the background story of who he was and everything. But I don't think I have ever reacted to a surprise the way that I did when they came back at WrestleMania 33. I'm not kidding you. I was jumping up and down and screaming like believable. I think the whole house was really.
It was wild.
Everybody was like thinking, "Oh, it's gonna be New Day. They're about to walk down," and then all of a sudden you hear their music, and it's just like we went nuts, dude.
There was the possibility, but all like the big wrestling fans, especially the internet ones, they weren't sure because didn't earlier that day they did the Ring of Honor show?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they did the Ring of Honor show, and then they were also with TNA. They were doing like their Expedition of Gold.
Oh god. One of the greatest gimmicks of all time.
Delete.
Yeah, Matt Hardy's not on my list. He should be though.
Yeah. Yep, number 2, Jeff
Good
Hardy.
pick. Logan 2-1.
My number 2, it sort of had, it's number 2 by default, and that's Shawn Michaels.
It's a good one.
Shawn Michaels was always your favorite, and I always loved Shawn Michaels, and I always wanted him to be my favorite, but he was your favorite. So I had to be like, I can't have the same favorite as Skip, which then like led me into like my favorite. But I've always loved Shawn Michaels, Heartbreak Kid. I mean, oh man, he is DX. Like I didn't want to get into a Triple H, but
Yeah.
DX is I loved it, and
Yeah, I mean, you had a bunch of kids going around, suck it.
I mean, spoiler alert. Let's just not even waste time. Like, this just gets to your number 1. We'll talk about Shawn Michaels in a minute, I'm sure.
yeah, I'm sure we're gonna talk about it. And my number 1, we already talked about it. It's Randy Orton.
Oh, yeah. I
Randy
figured.
Orton has been my favorite because Shawn Michaels couldn't be. But I mean, I still love Randy Orton, and I think he was one of like the heels that was just like did it so well. Like everyone, he was a heel, but everybody loved him.
Oh, yeah.
It's like he did it so well, and because there's like some people that you're like that they're heels and you're like you're not supposed to like, and that's like that's what they're supposed to do. But Randy Orton, you're just like, oh man, he's so like the Viper, you know, the way he just like get on his like fists and like I loved him. And I mean, I haven't had the pleasure of watching him grow old, like you guys say, and he's gotten better. But
So 2 questions for you as a Randy Orton fan. 1, do you like Hey or Voices?
I was going to ask, yep.
Which theme song's better to you?
voices.
Personally, I like to listen to Hey better, but I've seen him make an entrance before, and by God, Voices is so amazing when he
think-
makes his like when he goes out to the ring.
Because I remember when he made the change. It's crazy because like, if we did Cream of the Crop WWE theme songs,
Ooh,
like,
we should do that.
I mean, Edge, Sheamus, obviously great theme songs. But the fact that Randy Orton would probably have 2
Yeah.
on that list with both those. And I think Hey worked better at the time when he was like, because at the time, like that was kind of like his like it just fit
That was his attitude,
who he
yeah.
was and his attitude so well. And it is, I think, just a better song. But when he did make that switch to Voices, I think it was like in a triple threat match against Cena and Triple H. He came out in that triple threat match with the WWE title, and I remember him coming out 2 Voices, and I was so mad because I loved Hey. And then it's like, no, like that song is, he's changed,
That song
he's
is
grown.
so
This is, that song fits him so much better.
He's great. And then the second question was, I mean, obviously the RKO is sweet, but how did you feel about the punt?
Oh wow, I didn't even remember. Like you're bringing back a lot of memories in my mind. The only thing that I have in my head about the punt was like that was like something that he did that would like put people out of commission for like a month or so.
Dude.
Like it's just like, and like when he did the punt, like it was like, oh no,
Yeah,
this
they're
person's
dead.
gone.
Yeah.
Like for whatever reason, like it's like not even that like crazy of a thing, but it's like he's setting up for the punt. Oh no!
Think about it though. Let me just kick your skull as hard as I can.
Let me just curb stomp you.
Let me.
That has to be the worst thing. Like,
Dude, next
Really?
top 5 finishers next time. after theme songs.
but oh wow, you actually. I mean, the RKO was great. I mean, obviously it blew up. You know, RKO out of nowhere, and like we would always
Yeah.
do that. But
Now I'm thinking of the WrestleMania 31 Seth Rollins RKO off the
Best.
curb stomp, because you said curb stomp, and then we're talking about Randy Orton.
Have you ever seen that?
But it's to me the best
Oh,
RKO.
yeah.
Yeah.
By far.
Do you remember his one with Evan Bourne?
Oh,
where Evan
yeah.
Bourne did the backflip?
he
in the
did
car?
yeah.
Imagine that, but just like somehow 10 times cooler.
Yeah. It is incredible.
Hey,
Like, and no, I think the best thing about that, when you watch that match, like at the time, you were almost guaranteeing
Seth
that
was going to win.
was going
I
to
mean,
win.
he won the W title that night.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So like you almost guaranteed that he won, and then all of a sudden, bam.
Yeah.
You're like, whoa.
What I love about the RKO is that the out of nowhere with that move was already done by another guy for years before that.
Diamond Dallas Page.
Yeah, when DDP was running with the diamond cutter, where he'd reverse something from Goldberg and just hit it.
Mm-hmm.
But Randy Orton took it and with just a slight little alteration in character and with a little jump to it, made it 100 times better.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Top 5 finish, easy. Sam, number 1.
Dolph Ziggler.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's my favorite of all time. I mean, right when I started watching it with you again, like that was when I was just like drawn to him. Like does the whole hair gimmick. I mean, shakes his butt, like does the spin around with the belt. Like it's incredible. I mean, I can go on and on about matches I love by him, but I can say my favorite all-time Dolph Ziggler moment is the Survivor Series when he won against
That was wild.
Authority. It's so good. I go back to this day and I still get goosebumps and like my heart. Like,
The fact that, like, because he wasn't even, like, at the time, like, he was, like, slowly being built, but, like, that was kind of just, like, out of nowhere.
Yeah. Dude, it's amazing. I love it. I mean, yeah, and then you go back, you got great matches with The Miz, and, like, he's
Cena.
always been a great asset to WWE. He's done everything that he's ever been asked of, and he's done it so well.
He's a great cheerleader.
Tough.
Probably one of the best sellers in, I think, WWE history.
If you fast forward 15 years for the criteria of my leg list, Ziggler would be easily on the top of it.
Yeah.
He's been a world champion.
Didn't matter. Didn't matter.
Well, he had 2 reigns. He cashed in on Del Rio once, and he beat Edge at the... Or no, actually, he never beat Edge. He was given the world title by Vicky Guerrero, and then lost it that night to Edge.
Well, fine. He'd be disqualified for being a world champion, but for most of the time, the dude's done a heck of a lot with what's been irrelevancy in their program.
Yeah, he's great.
Love him. I mean, I have all of his shirts.
Fish, you're 1.
All right. For the number 1 pick, we're going to take a trip down to Cobb County, Georgia, and we're going to respect the law and order.
Really?
The Big Boss Man. I'm telling you guys right now, there has never been a more better mid-card and vile character
Is this a policeman?
than the Big Boss Man. Yeah, so originally in the late 80s, early 90s, like Hulk Hogan kind of era run, he dressed up like a mall cop, and he was just yeah, we'll talk about that. But he was just a cop, a fat cop who beat up people. But then he left for a while and went to WCW, and of course I think he was one of the 15,000 people in NWO.
Yep.
But he came back to be a part of McMahon's corporation, and he was the SWAT team version of the Boss Man. He dressed like the Shield did. Exact.
Oh, I do kind of remember that, yeah.
Yeah. And this guy was the most vile character. So he killed Al Snow's dog and fed it to him.
Yeah.
What?
He went to Big Show's father's funeral and hooked the casket up to the back of a car and
I
drove
remember
off
seeing
with
that.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And his matches were always good. One of my favorite moves originally was the Boss Man Slam, because I'd always hit that black hole slam.
Yeah.
That was his finish. He was involved in probably one of the most controversial moments in WWE history when Undertaker hung him at WrestleMania.
Hung him. Like, he was at a noose around his neck, and he was hanging.
In the cell rose, and then, Undertaker didn't exactly. It was Edge, Christian, Gangrel.
Yeah.
Came out of the rafters and got off their shift at Hot Topic. But it was just
A lot of Hot Topic in the 90s, huh?
Oh, yeah, it's just all these Hot Topic guys. But just everything Boss Man did was to make you hate him. And it was just fantastic how he did it. He'd handcuff your favorite superstar to the ring and start beating him with a nightstick. You're 5 years old, you're sitting there, you're like, I hate the police. Why are they doing that?
Oh, man. That's a good number one. I think for your criteria, that's probably about as good as it gets, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. My number one, guys, it's Shawn Michaels. It's the Heartbreak Kid. He's by far, AJ Styles is great. We've talked about Orton. He just gets better with time. There's so many great wrestlers, but, there's just nothing better than Shawn Michaels.
Nope.
He is, he makes it look so easy, and he's great in the ring. He's great with every aspect of his character. Going from, in the 90s, where it's he was not a very good person, and he would hard drug addict, and obviously in a downward spiral, getting fired or quitting or whatever, and then he comes back a couple years later, assuming because of his back injury he has to be done, he couldn't wrestle, and then he comes back for one match against Triple H, and he, blows the roof off the place, and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna do this forever. And it was so, I can't even talk about Shawn Michaels. I can't explain to words how good he is.
I was always jealous that you picked him first. Because basically when I first started and we were really into it, it was more just these guys are all amazing. And then when we got older, you start pinpointing your favorites. That's my favorite. And you just you established Shawn Michaels. He's Shawn Michaels is my favorite. And I was I've always hated that. Because I've always been envious of it. I love Randy Orton, and I've sort of through time is default I've grown to love him just because he was my favorite. But I've always.
And you talk about just his ladder match with Jericho, and his two matches with Taker at Mania, probably two of the greatest matches ever. And I was there at WrestleMania 26 for, we're going to say, his last match. He didn't wrestle after that. There was no Saudi Arabia match where he... that was a dream. That never actually happened. So I was there for his last match ever. And just, you talk about great finishers, man. The Super Kick.
I was the Sweet Chin music, man.
Because not only is it out of nowhere with the, it has that thing, but even when he's just setting it up and he goes, boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom, the best setup to any move ever.
Kind of almost Dolph does that too.
Yeah, because everybody wants to be Shawn Michaels. Why do you think everyone hits super kicks?
When he catches Shelton Benjamin off the ropes.
Oh yeah, classic. Classic.
It would be a crazy statistic.
What?
If you got a bunch of people to make a list of the top 20 best WWE matches of all time, how many of those matches would be Shawn Michaels matches?
All of them, dude. Just look at his WrestleMania. Look at every WrestleMania match he's had has been just off the walls.
Because obviously you have the Undertaker matches, you have the Austin match from 14, but there's even the matches that the Flair match. There's even the matches people don't talk about as much anymore, his old matches with Bret and the Mind Games match with Mankind. You guys ever see that? That is my favorite match of all time. It is so good. It's another one of those full we made a killer matches. The Chris Jericho rivalry at 19. Just every match, Shawn Michaels. It's insane how talented one person can be.
Insane. I wish I could see him versus AJ Styles. If that could have happened, that would have been the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll do honorable mentions quick. I got, obviously, Triple H, I said. Edge, absolutely killer. And this is just to throw out a hot take. This would be an oven mitt opinion if we had one. I personally think the greatest big man of all time, The Big Show. I think he's better than Andre. Maybe it's because it's my generation, but I think he's just, with what he's done, I think he's better than Andre. I love The Big Show.
It's different eras.
Different marketability.
I liked Kali better.
Yeah, what a guy. Hall of Famer. All right, honorable mentions.
Maga.
Honorable mentions were D'Lo Brown.
He's a great guy. He's amazing.
The Dudley Boys together as a two. Owen Hart. The only reason Owen Hart wasn't on the list is because so many people have been talking about him with memorial stuff lately. Kane and Foley.
So I also did do more than 3. But I went with Edge, like you said, New Day, Cesaro, Seth Rollins, and Paige.
Okay.
I also did more than 3. I have Kane. I've always loved Kane. What?
Don't speak ill of Kane around me.
No, I have always loved Kane. Ric Flair, I also had Edge, and this is just last second, Colin Delaney.
Oh, what a guy.
Talk about more. Put yourself. He did the best with what he could.
He's so great. Yeah. What about the guy that was going to be on my list? I just didn't put him on because I wanted to limit to 3. The Boogeyman.
I was thinking about him too. And Hornswoggle.
I've always wanted to get. I've never wanted to get worms put in my mouth more than watching the Boogeyman.
Dude, when the Boogeyman would come, it was just the worst.
I think I was on a show with Colin Delaney one time.
I have been, yeah. And then I was on a show, the last Rhino show, we had Hornswoggle. Or Swoggle.
Incredible.
Oh, it was impeccable to watch.
Speaking of Boogeyman, remember Boogeyman and Finley's rivalry when Finley's like, yo, I got me a little person. And then Boogeyman's like, oh yeah, I got a
Little Boogie.
Hey, take my list, push everybody back 1. Little Boogie's my number 1 by far.
Also, I want to add another one. Dean Ambrose. He was my favorite of those.
The Shield.
Yeah.
John Moxley now, yeah.
He's even better outside of WWE.
Mm-hmm.
He's so good, dude. He's such a cool guy, too.
Yeah.
Love him.
That was it.
Real quick then, it's tough because I don't think any of us really watch much anymore. Rumbles tomorrow. Who's your picks to win it? We'll start this way and we're going to go this way.
Dolph Ziggler?
Dave Bautista.
Dave Bautista.
Here's my
pick.
prediction, really. It's not anybody, but I think it's going to be a surprise. Like,
Okay.
somebody who isn't, like, announced to be in the roster.
I think Sam's right because if anybody who's on Facebook and has their algorithm pointing to wrestling, a lot of people know WWE's ratings are in the toilet right now. And what do they do every time their ratings are in the toilet?
John
They
Cena.
bring back a biggin.
Cena.
Batista, Peacemaker, all of them.
Umaga.
There's a lot of people that can bring back.
Do you want me to just say it? Spoiler alert, guys.
Oh no.
It's what you said. They got to bring a guy back. They got to bring a big guy
The
back.
Rock.
The Rock.
Oh, yeah.
The Rock
That's a
versus
good one.
Roman Reigns.
Oh my.
The Rock versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania.
You guys making me buy Peacock now. I just,
Head of the table versus the real. I don't know.
CM
Rock.
Punk.
Oh,
I'm
could
changing
be.
it.
well, that was the one thing. They're talking about the Forbidden Door entrant.
Dude, I think it could be Moose. I mean, Mickey James is going to be in the Women's Rumble as the Impact Champion. How incredible is that? I mean, we didn't talk much about that. That is just mind-blowing to me. Like, I mean, as a little kid, like, when we were, well, not a little kid, but like freshman year, we were so like, like there was no way that could ever happen. Like they would never talk about other promotions like that. But now, like, it's all out there.
Well, hey, let us know in the comments who you guys think is going to be winning the Royal Rumble. Before the Rumble happens, though. If you do after, that's cheating.
Yeah.
Wait.
But yeah, we're running out of time.
Yeah.
Let us know your top 5 too.
Yeah, we want to
Yeah,
hear.
your top 5 wrestlers, and give us some examples. But
This has been a long one. Do you guys just want to do Song of the Week now?
Yep.
Okay, song of the week. So my song of the week this week was "Need to Breathe." They one of their the songs off their album. They made another song. Well, one of their songs they made an acoustic version and they just released it, and I've been listening to it a lot. It's "I Am Yours," acoustic version, which I may have done that regular one, but now they just released it.
The acoustic's better. Okay.
Mine is going to be one of my favorite songs, and it's "Pompeii" by Bastille.
That's a great song.
I
song.
heard it with my sophomore year when I first heard it, and I've loved it ever since.
For me, I hate to admit this in public, but the song that's been stuck in my head in the shower when I've been driving all week is "If I Could Turn Back Time" by Cher.
Oh wow, that's a
What
great
a
song.
song. What a song. Before I get to my Logan, I've been listening to the playlist. Pretty good Into the Mystery. Great song. Great song.
Yeah.
Like it.
Mm-hmm.
My number 1, I'm going back to Turnpike Troubadours. I'm going to go with The Funeral. I've been listening to that. It's the only song that I listen to and then re-listen to, then re-listen to, then re-listen, over and over. Great
Yeah.
song.
All right. Well, hey,
That's
that was our
about
show.
it, yeah.
Yeah, we want to give another thanks to Fish for coming out here and joining us. It was really fun having him on.
Make sure you check out his Amazon and buy the stuff he's selling
Yeah,
on there.
he's a businessman out here. And he also creates some great TikToks. Go follow him on TikTok.
I haven't made a TikTok in forever.
Yeah, but they're funny. They're good. The air fryer edition, come on.
His at will be in the comment or in the description.
Yep.
While you're over there, you might as well follow us on TikTok, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter. Go ahead and give Fishman a follow too. Yeah, turn on that bell, subscribe. We're getting close to 100 subscribers, so that means, pizza party on Skip's mom.
Wait, on her?
Wait.
Wait,
No, not,
She's paying for it.
she's paying for the
that.
pizza.
She's not the table.
She's not. But yeah.
I mean, what's the point?
All right. Hey, thank you guys so much for watching. Or listening. We will see you next week.
Appreciate it.
Just high five.
Yep.
Ready? Go.
That was pretty good.